What's going on, Conscious Crew? It is your favorite breakdown commentator, CTV. Welcome, girl. Welcome to another episode of Consciouztv, girl. So I'm letting y'all know right now, I'm sick as a dog. I almost don't want to tell y'all how I got sick because it's so embarrassing. But I am like sicker than a dog. Like, if this cold doesn't, see me into the afterlife, bitch, overdosing on flu medicine is. So what had happened was, girl, me and one of my mans was taking a nice, sensual, romantic, nasty piece of hot steaming shower together, girl. We was just doing what homosexuals do, girl. And then, like, upon us, getting out of the shower, my man decides to chase me around the fucking house. And then I ended up running out of the front door butt naked at 9:30 at night in 40-degree weather. And after being chased around the property and then back into the house, as we both went butt naked under the moonlight, girl, get into it, I began to come down with all of these flu-like symptoms, girl. So I got a tiny bit of a sore throat, girl. I got an old nasty piece of cough, chill. I got congestion all up in my skull and shit, bitch. I'm through. Okay? I'm over it. But, so I slept all day. And I just got out of the fucking sauna and tried to sweat the stuff out of my system because, girl, I got world domination to do. And, you can't. What does a bad bitch look? Completely on her ass. That's just not going to work for me for 2022. So I'm very angry at myself. At least I got some good love making out of it though. Before all hell broke loose. So, I'm gonna charge it to the game. So if y'all hear me coughing and sneezing and what I girl, okay, you already know what time it is. And yeah, what I. So give me old nasty piece of thumbs up, girl. Give me old nasty piece of thumbs up, child. Y'all know that this helps with YouTube's algorithm, girl. It helps these sorry ass whores do their damn job on this motherfucker by sending out my notification to perfectly well put together strangers, girl. That's how we grow the kingdom. And if you're new here, definitely, child, hit that subscribe button because if I like it, you're absolutely going to love it. And I also need you to hit that notification bell so that you can make sure that you get all of the notifications, girl, whenever content drops from the kingdom, child. Because just like in the wee hours on that midnight train to Georgia, girl, that just may be when I am absolutely coming through with the come through, girl. Okay, while you trying to escape your toxic man, girl, on the midnight train to Georgia, girl. That just may be when CTV, girl, wants to keep you company with an old nasty piece of content, girl. Okay, so you need to have your notification bell set to all. And if you also don't mind, please share. Okay. Now I do have my handy dandy co-host in the background, girl. He's gonna be joining me and everything for this commentary. Y'all know that I had covered the Tyre Sampson incident a few days ago, girl, and there are details that are coming out of the investigation, right? And I think I know exactly what happened, you guys. Now that I've reviewed the video again, and I've had my emotional reaction, and I can put on my analytical reaction and look at it analytically. I saw something very interesting in that footage. I know exactly why his seat was still down. I'm pretty sure I know exactly why his seat was still locked in place. His bracket, his harness was still locked in place even after his descent from the seat. I think I know exactly what happened, okay? So with no further ado, girl, let me run this old nasty piece intro, girl, and then we'll get right into it. Okay.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Reckless, what's up?
Hello.
Pussy popping on that. Yeah. What's going on? How you doing? Thank you for joining me tonight. I needed your energy to help drag me along in the wagon because bitch, I may just pass the hell out midway with this damn commentary group.
Bitch, don't pass out. Don't pass out, bitch.
I don't get sick. I get sick once every 5 years, but when I do get sick, I get sick. It's like
that's me.
That happens, yeah. So it's
That's
annoying.
me.
How you feeling tonight? I know you also covered the story over on Bigo. Before we even get into it, can you tell the folk where to find you out here on these viral streets, where they can subscribe and support the queen?
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the land of reckless logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts for me and do not miss all of this greatness. So with that being said, my Instagram name is Strictly Reckless, but however, my YouTube name is R-Logic, Reckless Logic with 2 C's because we are different. It's the name that you will see on the screen in a second. And as well, I am on Bigo, and my Bigo ID is Reckless Burrow. And that's on what? Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Period. All right. You guys heard it there first. So what I'm going to do is, you know how YouTube is with kids, y'all. So I'm going to read from 2 articles. What we're going to do is, one article I'm going to read has to do with who's liable, because we was talking about that in the previous live, is who is liable for this. And then we're going to also read an article that has to do with some of the new details coming out of the investigation. And then I'm going to tell you what I believe actually occurred. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as a result of what I believe occurred. Do I have is this some feedback? I can hear me. Oh, that's my bitch. I got me pulled up on my phone too.
Yes, come on, support yourself.
Oh, Father God. It's stuff you can see in the real-time live that don't show up on StreamYard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, girl, this is Tyre, girl, 14-year-old football player Tyre, 330 pounds, 6'5", very tall, healthy guy. As you guys can see, Icon Park has put a black plastic bag over his seat, I assume to identify it as it relates to everything surrounding this investigation. Now I'm going to leave this picture up and I'm going to read from an article. And this article, you guys, is from Fox35Orlando.com. And it's captioned, "Who can be liable for Tyre Sampson's death? Local attorney weighs in." So you guys listen to this. Girl, I almost wish you could read this shit because I don't want to be barking and hacking through all this. All Tyre Sampson's death is being investigated, and local attorneys are weighing in on the topic. A big question: if negligence is proven in Sampson's death, could there be criminal charges? Larry Gonzalez, an attorney with Morgan & Morgan, who is not involved in the case, said it's up to the state attorney's office. Quote, typically negligence doesn't rise to the level of a criminal standard of manslaughter unless it's what called grossly negligent. That's a reckless standard, but that's up to the state's office if they want to do that based on their investigation, said Gonzalez. The attorney said typically it would have to rise above the level of ordinary negligence, okay? Quote, a lot of times what the courts want to see is what's called intentional misconduct. Maybe you didn't intend to kill anyone, but your conduct was so reckless that was going to be the likely result, said Gonzalez. Tyre Sampson fell out of his seat into his death on the Orlando Freefall ride at Icon Park last week. According to the operations manual, he was 50 pounds heavier than the maximum weight of the ride. Quote, people want to ride rides. That's human nature, said Gonzalez. Quote, and you're not reading through a 50-page contract and the fine print to see, hey, can I ride this ride? It's on the employees to make sure it's safe. Gonzalez said at most major Florida theme parks, people don't need to sign waivers to get on rides. But even if you did, you might not be found liable. Quote, if an employee doesn't harness you properly, if an employee fails to see that you should or shouldn't be on a ride, said Gonzalez, those are types of things where even if you were to sign it away, there are significant arguments in a court of law that at least it wouldn't be enforceable. Wow. The investigation is still underway and no charges have been made, but the family has hired attorneys Ben Crump and Bob Hillard. Okay. That is from Fox35Orlando.com. So more than likely, you guys, there definitely won't be any criminal charges applied here, only civil, because gross negligence really doesn't show up hardly in these situations. This was just ordinary negligence on behalf of the company. So, and you guys can probably hear my damn stomach growling because I ain't ate nothing all damn day. Now, what we're going to do is transfer over, girl. Hold on.
Girl.
I'm
you
like,
see what happens?
Hey,
you see what
I'm
happens?
over.
You see what happens if you would have kept your kitty in your panties?
Okay,
you
we
wouldn't
can't do all that in between a very serious investigation commentary.
Okay, I'll wait.
Calm down, Trina. Okay. Now.
Okay, Kyle.
We're going to be reading girl, y'all know I love y'all. If I'm pushing through, girl, I'm on the sick and shut in list, bitch, and I'm on this motherfucker at 2 a.m. pushing through for y'all, girl. Y'all know that I love y'all, okay? Sick as a dog, pushing through, girl, like only Kuta Kinte can do, child. This article is coming from WSWS.org, okay? It says state investigation reveals new details about death of 14-year-old boy who fell from amusement park in Orlando, Florida. New details have come to light in the death of Tyre Sampson, the 14-year-old boy who fell to his death last Thursday night at the Icon Park in Orlando, Florida, while riding the Orlando Freefall Drop Tower. The harrowing incident was captured on cell phone video and has since gone viral, triggering an outpouring of outrage and demands for answers into how such a tragedy could have happened. On Tuesday, a preliminary accident report filed by the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Fair Rides Division described the mechanics of the 430-foot tower. The report, girl, I'm burping and all. The report confirmed that the seat restraint was locked in place and that the ride did not malfunction. However, it is not clear if Sampson fit the contours of the seat or if the bracket had fit properly. The FBACS report reads, quote, when the magnets engaged to slow the ride, the patron came out of the seat. Harness was still in a down lock position when the ride stopped. 3 employees at the park are listed in the report as witnesses. A significant portion of the department's preliminary investigation includes information drawn from the manual of the manufacturer of Freefall Funtime Thrill Rides. According to the company's manual, which was posted online by the FBACS, the maximum weight allowed for riding on the Orlando Freefall is listed at 286 pounds. Sampson's football coach Brandon Gregory, said the teen weighed 320 pounds, far above the recommended weight for boarding the drop tower. The specifications in the ride's operations and maintenance manual highlights the limitations for large guests riding the attraction. Quote, "Be careful when seeing if large guests fit into the seats," the manual reads. "Check that they fit within the contours of the seat and the brackets fit properly. If this is not so, do not let the person ride." The revelations from the FDACS report confirms suspicion taken from testimonials and photos from the incident, highlighting how Sampson was too large to remain in his seat. A photo taken moments before the ride took off into the air showed Sampson's seat harness was not being locked all the way down like the riders adjacent to him. Tyre's grieving father, Yarnell Sampson, said that his son began to panic as the ride began to operate, as he instantly sensed something was wrong with his seat restraint. The younger Sampson shared a apprehensive message within his friends seated next to him. Quote, "When the ride took off, that's when he was feeling uncomfortable," Yarnell said. Quote, "He was like, this thing is moving. You know what I'm saying?" And he was like, "What's going on?" Yarnell told WOFL TV. Yarnell explained that his son told his friends, quote, "I don't know, man. If I don't make it down safely, can you please tell my mommy and daddy that I love them?" The elder Sampson detailed further, for him to say something like that, he must have felt something pointing to possible recklessness of the ride's operator and park owner who allowed the team to enter free fall despite his size. Yarnell declared this particular ride decided, quote, "Yeah, we can take you, get on," when nobody else would allow him to get on the rides. He continued, quote, "I wish I was there to tell him I love him, that I'm sorry for him to lose his life. So young, and I wish it was me." An 8th grade middle schooler and aspiring pro athlete attending City Garden Montessori from Berkeley, Missouri, Tyre Sampson was visiting Orlando to train with his football team and coaches. The training was taking place through STL, Bad Boys Football, a nationally ranked youth program, nicknamed Big Trick, short for Big Ticket, by family and friends. Tyre was well known as a promising football prospect, as many believed he would achieve an NFL career. Quote, "He was 6'5", 325 pounds at 14 years old, playing left tackle, so that's a prime position. Plus, he had an NFL mentor, so he was definitely on the right path," Yarnell said in an interview with KMOV4. According to Coach Gregory, Tyre was seen as a gifted athlete with the potential to earn a scholarship to a Division I football program. This fall, after leaving middle school, the team was set to play football at East St. Louis High School, one of the best programs in Illinois. Demanding that those culpable in the death of his son be held accountable, Yarnell Sampson added, quote, "I want to know what happened to my son. I want to know why my son is in a white bag, having to get shipped back home. He walked there. Why can't he walk back? I want answers from everybody who was all involved in that." Officials at Icon Park said both the Freefall Amusement Park and Orlando Slingshot, another attraction designed by Fun Time Thrill Rides, have been indefinitely shut down. Tyre's cousin, Shay Johnson, launched a petition on Monday, March 28th, calling for the ride to be permanently closed. Johnson told Fox 3, "My cousin lost his life over this ride. I don't feel it's safe, and I feel it should be shut down before someone else's family has to go through what we are going through." Since Thursday night tragedy, there has been a developing effort to scapegoat the attendants and other employees manning over the ride while absolving Fun Time Thrill Rides and the operator of its amusement rides, the Slingshot group of companies, of any criminal liability. Representatives of the companies have seized the FDACS report to prove no deficiency was found in the design and operation involved in freefall. John Stein, the operator, the director of marketing and sales for the Slingshot group of companies, the owner and operator of Fun Time Thrill Rides in Florida, told News 6 that there was a height requirement for Orlando freefall. Stein admitted, however, that there really is no weight restriction unless you cannot fit the seat. In the viral video of Sampson's death, attendants can be heard asking whether or not a light on the seat was to indicate the seat was secure. According to the manufacturer's manual, green lights on the seat's panels indicate the restraints were closed. No lights indicated the restraints were open, and a red light indicates the restraints are faulty. Okay, so what the article just basically read is that they have yet to find any issues and deficiencies with the ride. All of the lights on the panel, everything was a go. So we know that the seat or that the ride was not the issue. Before we go any further, Reckless, what do you think?
That's a lot. Oh my gosh. So basically, from what I'm getting from that, because keep in mind I have people going in and out, so just correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, what I'm getting from that, they can't find anything wrong with the ride. Is that what I'm hearing? And that it seemed to be on the behalf of the people that was actually checking to see was everybody strapped in and knowing the protocols of knowing whether or not if his weight limit was going to be an issue or not. Is that what I'm getting from that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they're trying to scapegoat over anybody being found criminally negligent, which wouldn't be likely when it comes to these type of incidents anyway. Operators and workers typically are not criminally charged.
Then okay, so who's charged? The actual park, the entity?
Either the actual park or the company of the actual ride. I mean, manufactured the ride typically.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So when it worked, like you would sue the entity, and then the entity would go after that particular person that was in charge, like of that particular. Is that how that would usually go?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Okay, so would the so like just say if something happened to and would the family go after the entity, and then would the entity in return go after the person that was in charge?
No, like typically, like these type of things are just kind of covered by amusement parks in general. Like their insurances kind of cover these things, kind of keeping their employees from per se, having to fall on penalty. So, and people are saying that the actual operators were like teenage boys, which is not uncommon because because lots of teens work at Carowinds, Flags. But I agree with everybody that I don't think anybody under the age of 21 and also without experience should be working the actual panels to any rides. Like they can work in a concession stand, they can mop and sweep the goddamn grounds, they can do lots of other things, girl, clean the toilets, honey, like skip a little.
So I have a question. So can the family go after the entity? Can they do that, or is the law trying to keep? Oh, like the actual amusement park, the amusement system. Okay, because exactly, because I was gonna say that because this situation after you explained it, it reminded me of you remember Tracy Morgan? We had that car accident, but however he didn't go after the driver, he went after, I think it was Walmart that had that driver driving for about 24 plus hours and stuff. So sue the hell out of taking for everything they got. Because at the end of the day, your loved one cannot come back home to you. So with that, make sure that you take every dollar that they have. Yeah. Every dollar.
Y'all, but for those of you who just are joining us, we're talking about Tyre Sampson's fall from Icon Park and new developments. Also, I have a cold, so if you hear me like coughing through this, I'm sick as a dog. I want to be honest though, Reckless. I actually believe that the park should be held accountable and not the manufacturer, because no matter how these companies design these rides, it's up to these parks to enforce the rules and regulations around the ride. So if the manuals read one way, that shouldn't be on behalf necessarily of the manufacturer of these rides. There are specific rules of engagement, and if you don't enforce that and you put this ride up in your fucking park, that should not fall on the manufacturer of the ride. It should definitely fall on the park itself.
And okay, so that's what I meant by the entity. I wasn't even thinking about the manufacturer at all, honestly, because the whole thing behind it is that, like you said, when whatever you get from that manufacturer, of course, there's a process. Of course, it's your duty to make sure that the equipment that you receive is, for one, in good shape. Two, is maintained and has good maintenance as well. And then, because if you think about like a restaurant, the restaurants, they probably get their equipment and stuff from different areas, like Restaurant Depot, all these different types of things. But however, if anything goes bad or you receive anything bad, that's up to the restaurant to be able to have them checks and balances to make sure no one in your restaurant gets sick or something bad happens, as in food poisoning, anything like that. So I do believe like that whole thing that they need to be very, very careful about who they have running these rides. Like, teenage, I get it, but however, as an operating, have the whole thing. Yeah, that's enough.
That's because the discernment here was poor. You know, as the articles have said, every other ride he was being denied of in the park. So everybody else had told him no, but the guys allowed him to go through. Now, you know, obviously, like, we're not going to play the video here. However, I've studied this video over and over and over and over.
I never watched it. I'm not gonna watch it.
I had to, and you know, I have a degree in nosology. I have my undergrad and my master's in nosology. So, you know, there was a lot of interesting things. First of all, you could tell that Tyre was visibly insecure about the bracket because he kept like making sure that it wouldn't come up. He kept checking it and trying to push it out to see if it would give. It didn't, which is probably why the panel light was green. Technically, you know, it was secure enough. So the panels didn't indicate any faultiness or anything was wrong. And then, so this is where the interesting part happens. Upon the descent, the truth is that bracket didn't come up because Tyre actually slipped out from under it. And let me show y'all something here. And you are going to see anything terrifying, so don't worry, you guys. So this is before the ride. As you guys can see here, I doodled everything. Now, look at this. Hold on. This is Tyre here. This is the bracket. Look at how lifted his bracket is compared to everybody else's. That's pretty much smashed in against them. His is protruding out. Now look at how much space is between him and the bracket. Look at all this room here. All this room here. All this room here. All this was open. All this, everything up under here is open. His body, his waist, his torso. So this is what happened. And I watched the video when the ride descended. Because, you know, it takes you up and then it slams you down. And when it slams you down, you actually lift it up, which is why the brackets are there to keep you in the seat, because you are pretty much levitating as you are descending. When the ride came to a halt mid-air, you actually see him slip from under the bracket, which is why he still appeared seated. And I saw it with my own eyes. And this is enough goddamn space for 300 pounds. Look at how much of him is exposed. Look at how much of him is exposed. Look at all this fucking space. I mean, this pretty much was equivalent to an overlarge vest. This wasn't going to keep him in the seat. And I'm surprised that the panel didn't read red. But I guess it allows for some give, because it does allow people at least up to 286 pounds to be on a ride. So it fell right between that middle space, enough for the panel to not read it as unsecure. So if you watch the video, and I have mowed over this video again and again and again, and I didn't see it the first time because obviously I was having an emotional response the first time. But when I put it on my investigative lens, the descent of this ride, he's lifting up in the seat, and then when the ride comes to a halt midair, you can actually see him slip from under this. This don't even come up at all. That's why the bracket was still in place. It wasn't the velocity that slammed the bracket back down. It wasn't that he was holding on to the bracket either. Upon his descent, his arms are actually extended once he is ejected from the ride. And look at the material. Look at all this shiny as plastic seating. There's also no grip and grit on any of this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to slip and slide. But look at how much space he could. So basically, what the velocity of the ride did upon descent was
Take him about the seat.
Yeah, it pretty much pushed him out of this opening here. Look at how much space that is between the top of the seat and the top of the bracket. This is enough room for all this to slip right on up and out. Because you're being slammed out of it. You're being basically shoved out of it due to the G-force.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
Girl, that's what it seems like. Because keep in mind, I did not watch the video. My stomach cannot handle that. That's really gonna mess me up. But I have read articles on it. So the thing is too, is that there was a girl on TikTok because she made a video. I don't know if you guys have heard this or whatever. It was a girl on TikTok, and she said that before because she actually went on a ride right before Tyre did. And what happened was she was going up on the ride, and then when they got to the top, they heard like a clanking type of sound. And then the crazy thing about it is that she actually showed the TikTok video, like, because people thought she was lying. So she was telling her story how she went on a ride right before the incident happened, and they went up, and then when they went to the top, they heard like a clanking sound. They was like, "What the hell was that?" And then when they went down, it was all cool. And then I guess that's when Tyre them had went, and then that must have happened. But that is a lot of room. That is a lot of space.
Look at how much space that is.
He doesn't
look his shoulders. This thing don't even touch his shoulders. Look at how this thing is. Even the shoulder is clamped around these guys' shoulders. It's not. Look at all the space between him and the shoulders. This thing was protruding off of him. This was too much give. Of course, he was going to slip and he was going to be pushed from underneath this opening.
Wait, so they like that's another thing. They don't have like no belt or nothing on there. Like it should at least have a belt, something else to keep you in. Like that's crazy. Because I think okay, so like you know how some roller coasters or rides that have like additional belts, just so you have this, you have the seat, and you have the belt and all that in combination or something extra. Like
yeah,
I believe I forgot what park it was. I think I had a belt when I had mine too.
But that's another thing. This seat of this ride did not come with any traditional seat belting in charge, which actually would have been his saving grace. Because that's exactly what he needed, was a seat belt. That seat belt would have acted as the barrier between him and gravity, and all this fucking space in between him and his harness. If he actually would have had a seat belt going across him, I mean, yeah. And when I look at it, you can actually see him. You can actually see him like kind of be slammed down back into the seat, and then just kind of like it looked like he goes under something and then comes out. Where he's coming from under is his harness. Yeah. So negligence is certainly going to fall on behalf of the goddamn park, and for him to be 50 pounds overweight, he was already not supposed to be on the ride. But if you also look at the seats, the manual also says that if you can fit within the contours of the seat, then pretty much even if you are beyond the weight capacity, you could still get on the ride. It looks like he did fit within the contours, but it was only his lower body that did. Obviously, his upper body was a bit more healthy than his lower body. I mean, I was shocked when I was looking at the video and I saw him actually like slide from up under something. And that explains why his harness was still locked in place upon you know, his descent. It never came up at all. He just slipped from under it. He was pushed from under it by gravity. So, I'm never riding a ride again. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
If
anybody wants to come up, you guys are allowed to come up. And this is why I wanted to watch the video, because there is a lot of information in that video. If you like really look at the moment that he's ejected, you can really see. You can see it for what it is.
But the whole thing, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a roller coaster type of person, so it's gonna be a while. I'm probably gonna get on it again because I ain't gonna flex the same way I'm like this now. I was like that when Final Destination 3 came out. When that bad boy came out, I stopped getting on rides for a while, but then I slowly started to get back into it. And plus, I kind of like, it's a long time in between before I go to like amusement parks and stuff. But that's crazy. That's really crazy.
I mean, it's just so interesting too that the reports are that he was like, visibly uncomfortable, and as he was going up, I just wonder why he just didn't scream, why he just didn't object. I feel like he didn't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now that's a big thing at the parks
and that's
too.
Bad. That's
sad. And also too, it's two things. It's two things, as in, yes, like the embarrassment, but also too, sometimes when you be like, okay, I don't want to get off no more, the people that do the rides, they be like, oh, okay, we're gonna get you off, and they still put you on there because they think it's always about being scared. But they said
it was too much ego built up by the time he got to this ride, because he had already said no. I mean, he had already been told no by every other ride. So it was too much ego for him to back down, but it costed him his motherfucking life not backing down. I hate this for him. This is so fucking tragic. It's so fucking tragic. It's so fucking tragic. And I just want, like, could you imagine being this one? Like, could you, like, you see your friend die before your eyes?
I was thinking that. I was like, I know that's traumatic. Like, just to, like it's one thing to have like a random person that's next to you, but that's your friend. Like, and I'm pretty sure y'all like best friends if y'all going to amusement park, or good friends, amusement parks together.
I'm sure everybody is fucking traumatized. The worker who was initially giving like the instructions and everything, because one of the girls on the other side of them was asking, like, why doesn't this seat have the typical strapping that you can manually plug yourself in? And he was like, pretty much basically because it don't. And but like when Tyre fell, that same worker, he looked like he didn't even go over to where Tyre was. He just closed the gate and kind of like stood off to the side. Like, you could tell he was in fucking shock.
Yeah, and because actually me and my friend was talking about it and stuff, and he didn't say it, but some people have said, why didn't the worker do? And I told him, I said, here's the thing. I said, I understand from the outside looking in, those are the questions that come up, but I've actually been in situations where like some things that you don't even think will happen has happened, and you just freeze. Literally. I've literally seen, like, was outside one time and was playing or whatever, was young, and then they was playing in the road, me minding my business off to the side, and one of the boys literally was this close to getting hit by a car. This close. And I just, like, I could have did something, but I was shocked. I just and the lady yelling at me because I'm the oldest one that she see at the time. But keep in mind too, I had just stepped outside, but I was just shocked. So yes, that's the real thing, just being shocked, because baby, that's something.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I could not imagine. Like when they all got lowered, they all were panicking. Like everybody was like, "Get me off! Get me off! Get me off! Like let me out! Let me out!" Like people were like running, and it's just a tragic sight. For those who are asking where you can see the video, you can basically just type in Tyre Sampson's free fall video. It's all over Google. It's on Twitter as well. And the guy who captured the whole incident said that he put it up because he just wanted to really raise a concern over the negligence of these parks. Did y'all know also that Tyre's father found out that his son died by seeing the video? He didn't even know. He didn't even get a phone call. He saw the video circulating and just clicked on it as a regular patron, and that's how he learned that his fucking son had passed away. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? I mean, this whole situation fucked up a lot of people. It fucked up his friends who saw this, the workers who saw this, the fucking father learned about his son's death by clicking on a random fucking video on Facebook. Could you fucking imagine that? Could you imagine that? Like, where do they do that at? I'm so upset at Tyre, but I can't be because he's 14. He's 14. He chose what a 14-year-old would choose. His intuition was going off. His common sense was going off. But he chose his ego. I can't fault him for that at 14, but I'm kind of mad at Tyre for not allowing his fear to move him to abort this fucking mission. I hate this for him. I fucking hate it for him. Hate it for him. His parents had to see their son back in Missouri in a fucking body bag. A body bag. I mean, this shit is fucked up. I don't think there's going to be anything left of fucking Icon Park after they get through with their ass. The father already said that there's no amount of money that can appease this. He said when he saw the video that it was like somebody hit him in his stomach with a brick. All the air just left his body. He said the pain he felt was indescribable. Indescribable. He said there's nothing in this world that could ever eradicate the memory of that trauma or the emotional trauma he felt realizing that that was his child in that video. Now, a lot of people are speculating whether Tyre was still lucid at the time. It's only a short trip from where he was to the ground, so I don't know if he had time to be removed from that situation or cardiac arrest at time to totally set in and to remove him. But yes.
Well, my friend said that. Well, I'm going based on what my friend said. I ain't. But my friend has said that they had took him to the hospital. He had passed away at the hospital. That's what my friend said. But however, he also said that the ambulance took like 10 minutes to get there, and the whole thing behind it is like, aren't they supposed to have the ambulance like on the site?
Yeah, on the missile parts. Typically,
Typically. So, I don't know, man. I'm over here trying to look at the video now.
I heard that he hit the railing on his way down. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if he was still there. I mean, I'm sure the body might have had some type of I'm sure the body had some type of vitals still active. But I think his consciousness had to already be gone because I mean he was just laying there in a pool of his own blood. he was completely unconscious. So a lot of times the spirit will haul ass before the body finally gives way. So
Well, that is true because they say your body what is it, like your brain like takes like 2 minutes after your heart stop or something like that.
yeah, your brain can keep it's still
Keep
alive.
going.
I've
I can't.
I've studied like I've listened to a lot of near death experiencers, and oftentimes they recount being ejected from their bodies before the car hits another car, or before the car hits the ground, or before like the actual impact. The spirit is ejected, and they're kind of watching everything from above. I don't know if you know this, but during September 11th, the jumpers, which are the people who jump to their deaths, who leap to their death from the towers, it was said that the people below could actually see light coming out, like these orbs shooting out of people who were falling from the towers. Like midair, they could see a ball of light leave the jumpers' bodies before hitting the ground.
You know, that's interesting that you say that. Now this is kind of off topic, but this kind of deals with the whole thing you said about near-death experiences and orbs leaving each other's body, like your body and stuff. Me and this one time, this woman, we was having a conversation, and it had nothing to do with my job, but however, we was talking about something deep, and you got the spirituality, religion, all the other stuff. But well, we got into the whole thing of, do you believe in the death penalty or whatever? And I was like, no, I really don't. That's not my thing. But I don't judge people that do. But like, okay, that's just not. I don't believe it. But she was like, she don't believe it because the thing about it. Well, maybe think of this is when you said the near-death experiences. You ever, like, a lot of times when you have people that are getting to the end of their life, or sometimes they feel like they're not going to make it, they start to talk kind of, I want to say kind of crazy, but they start talking crazy. Yeah. They start talking like, the end of the road, and they start talking into that poetic, dark thing. And so what she said, and I was like, it had opened my eyes, is that she said, a lot of times when people think of God and Jesus, they think that your judgment day is going to be when, you actually get into the heavens, the earth, the astral projection, like, into that realms and stuff. But she says sometimes she believes your judgment day is right before, you actually go, which is why a lot of people start a lot of times repenting. A lot of times they start to ask people to forgive them for the bad things they probably have done, all the wrongs they have done and stuff. So I think that was real interesting because, like,
my mom had to do the same thing before her death.
Yeah, my one of my that friend that I was talking about, his homeboy that he was living with started talking real crazy when like this was like days before he had passed. And he was like, come on, guys, let's take a trip to the graveyard. What? Like, it was like he was talking like that, and then later on he had passed, and he just dropped. And so it was really interesting that she said that, because it was like, oh, okay, maybe that's your judgment. Like, a lot of times people think it's the judgment as in we're all gonna be waiting in line on some stairs, just waiting to get to the gates of heaven, and then like yes, no. But however, it's just maybe that's really what it is, because like now it makes sense, because they really start talking, and like even my grandmother, like right before she had passed, she had started apologizing to my mom for the things that she did or things that she couldn't do. Like and the thing about it is that when she had passed, it was like so unexpected. So it was like it's crazy, man.
Yeah. I got a cold. Yeah. My mom, so before I get to my mom, I remember reading about this plane accident that had occurred. The plane, it was I don't know when this accident occurred, but matter of fact, I think this person was on Oprah Winfrey show. The plane had like caught fire or exploded like midair, and like the back of the plane had exploded. And the person who was on the Oprah Winfrey show said that when he or she looked back, he could see everybody like literally on fire and their flesh burning off of them toward the back half of the plane. He said that as he was watching, he said it looked like a scene out of hell. He said, but he also saw like people's orbs leaving their bodies who were dying in those flames. And he fully believed that those were the souls of those people that were ascending. Now, my mom went through what you just articulated. My mom died 6 days. 6 days before her death. And I remember this day so verbatim. It was midday. She was in the kitchen cooking. And I was walking to my room at the time. And she had stopped me. And she said, Adavi, give me a hug. And she just like wrapped her arms around me. And she just started crying. And I said, Mom, are you okay? What's wrong? And she said, I just feel like something gonna happen to me. And I just feel like something bad is gonna happen to me.
The intuition.
I feel like I just got this feeling. And of course I reassured her. I said, Mom, you got a lot going on with your health. Because she was just about to start dialysis the following Monday. She passed away on a Sunday, the day before her first dialysis treatment, which I felt like God took her before the worst of her treatment happened. And I just trying to reassure her. I said, Mom, you're going to be okay. Everything is fine. It's normal for, people to feel uneasy. You have, things going on with your health that you're uncomfortable about, but you're going to be fine. But she had that feeling. And 6 days later, I found her in a semi-conscious state. And when I called the paramedics. So let me tell you how synchronistic the whole experience was. I got to tell you this. That the morning she passed, I was actually asleep in my room because me and my cousin was out celebrating his birthday at the time. He's another Scorpio. He's one of my other gay cousins too. And we came home about 3 a.m. in the morning because we was at the club shaking our ass. And my mom was actually on the porch smoking a cigarette. And she had told my cousin happy birthday. She was like her normal self. And she had eventually went in the house and she had laid down in the living room. And so when I had finally wrapped things up with my cousin, I went in the house. I told her a good night as I was heading to my room because I had my own place at that time, but I had came home to her because she had wanted me to take her to church the next morning. So I said, well, let me go spend a night with my mom so that I can make sure I get up and take her to church or whatnot. And that morning, I was having this nightmare that I was in this white box and it was being filled up with water. Now, I never have died in my dreams ever. I've had a lot of dreams where, I'm falling, but I always wake up before, impact. But I remember being in this white box. It was filling up with water and it was filling up to the brim. And I was like raising up to the ceiling. And I remember crying out to God and saying, I don't want to die like this. I don't want to die like this. God, don't let me die like this. Don't let me die like this. And the water, it rose over me and I ended up drowning. And I knew I was drowning in the dream. That had been the first time that ever happened to me. So, of course, like the shock and, all of the emotionality that I was experiencing in the dream had woke me up. When I woke up, I kept hearing moaning. And I was like, what? And I kind of just sat there at first. I'm like, what the hell? I thought, I didn't know what I thought. It was just a very strange sound. And so I had finally got up and went to the living room where my mom was. And she was turning to the left and turning to her right. Her eyes were closed. And she was just like, And I kept trying to call her name, because I thought maybe she was having a nightmare at first. So I was, trying to gently wake her up and everything. Like, Mom, are you okay? But I knew something was wrong because this wasn't a dream because she wasn't coming out of it. And I was like, at this point, really trying to wake her up. So I called my grandmother. I said, Grandma, something's going on with Mama. I'm about to call the ambulance. She said, well, put her on the phone with me. So I held the phone up to my mom's ear, and my grandma was trying and I was calling 911 on my other cell phone in my hand. And right as I'm about to call 911, my auntie, because she must have had put insurance on her ride to the goddamn church that morning, because she had called my auntie too the night before, and that's her because she picked her up on her way because we have a family church. And so as soon as my auntie knocked, like the first boop, my mama just started throwing up all over herself. She started throwing up. So I rushed to the door. I said, call 911 auntie, call 911 auntie, because now at this point I was tending to her. Well, the ambulance finally gets there, and they take her to the hospital, and the medics had told me that they had to resuscitate her in the ambulance. She had actually died in the ambulance. They had resuscitated her. When her neurosurgeon got there, come to find out, she had had a stroke in her brain. A vessel had burst, and the doctor told me to pretty much call my family because this was probably going to be the last time that we saw her. And so called all of them, and they had her on life support for a few days, and she was only operating at 1% brain capacity. And they pulled the plug, and that was that. Now, what's interesting is that 2 days after her funeral, I was in the kitchen. It was a sunny, bright day, a really nice day outside, and I was just standing there looking out the kitchen window, just washing dishes, and I felt someone touched the side of my rib, and it was a very unusual, almost electrical feeling, but it was like not painful.
Bitch, I'm getting chills.
Yeah, it was almost like a vibratory touch. It felt like what you would feel if a ghost touched you, if a spirit actually touched you. That's what it actually felt like, and it kind of gently just pressed against my rib cage, and I remember saying, "Ooh," but then I smelled her perfume pass me. Her perfume passed me. And I said, Mom, it's okay for you to go. I love you. Thank you for this confirmation. It's okay for you to go. She had been making her rounds in her spirit before she left, finally. So that gave me a lot of console and closure. So,
well, you just shared your story, so let me share mine.
Yeah.
Bitch, I'm over here getting chills. I'm like low-key tearing up. All right, so I had a situation where my sister, she was dealing with a lot of health issues, and basically what ended up happening is that I don't know if I want to, man, it's nothing crazy. She was a diabetic. And so what ended up happening was the day before Christmas, she ended up passing away on Christmas Day, actually. She ended up having an attack and stuff, and no one was there for her or whatever at the time. Now, when I had found out about everything and stuff, keep in mind I'm younger, so everything for me wasn't making sense. Maybe it also is the Scorpio in me as well. Because when I got there, I'm like, okay, I'm wondering, like, I'm get there, my sister, she's passed away and stuff like that. But however, the boyfriend, I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong, Tyler? Like, what's wrong? His energy was just a bit off. It was just a tad bit off, because if you already said you're there, it's really, if she had an attack, it's nothing that you could have done, honestly. If that was the case, it's nothing you could have done. But as time went on, as I got older, I found out the reason why she had an attack, and she actually, because she has attacks, she has had attacks in the past, but she actually had an attack this time, and he lied to us at first and said he was there, but he really wasn't there, and he was cheating at the time. So, bitch, at the time when you had your dick in another bitch, my sister was laying up dying somewhere. So that's another reason why I be on niggas' heads about cheating and shit, because it can be that's something personal to me. Because that same cheating that you putting your dick in another bitch, that's the same cheating that made my sister lose her life. But we had found out what happened, whatever, and so she had died on Christmas Day. Got that call. Emotional wreck. But then what ended up happening is that you know, around that time when everything happens, you kind of be emotional wreck. Like you have your times where you're like, okay, I'm good, and then you have times where you're just breaking down, crying your heart out. And at this time, I was like, this particular time, I was like crying my heart out. It was just like, crazy. And I was in my room, like I don't think I was even in my room. I was in my mom's room, whatever. I was crying my heart out or whatever. And then I just remember I had my head down, just crying, just couldn't stop. It was boo. And I just remember on the corner of my eye, I just saw somebody like standing in the corner. And the thing is, I knew it was her because it was something that she normally wears. It was like whatever, but I could have sworn I seen her in the corner, and I looked up and it was gone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I know what I saw. That's one thing about it. I know what I saw. And so when I told my sister and my mom about it, the best way we could like really come to grips with it, actually, this before I start getting deep into spirituality and stuff. But however, I did know about ghosts and all other things or spirits. The best way that I could come to terms with it is me saying that she was making sure that I was okay, checking up on me and stuff. So like basically when you was telling your story, how you got that confirmation, that's kind of how I got mine. As in me seeing that and actually, you know what? Yeah. So that was like my story with that whole thing with that.
Wow. How are you with things now? Because
I'm perfectly. I'm perfectly fine with it now. That happened in 2012. So I'm healed now and stuff. It was.
Well, I'm gonna let you answer her question because how did you cope? Like how did I cope?
I just cried. I went through the motions. That's what it did for me. I just went through the motions, day by day. Eventually, I don't want to say I got over it because that sounds harsh. I got through it. But however, at the same time, I don't think now, but at the same time, what ended up happening was me and my sister. We was like keep in mind, it was like years later. I think it was like years later. But I know it was some time in between. Like me and my sister, we was literally in our room or whatever. We would just joke around playing, you know. And then she had something had happened. Now keep in mind, me and my sister, we had been said we had like spirits in our own house and stuff because a lot of shadows and stuff we'll see. But we was like, girl, whatever. So something had happened in our home, and my sister, I think she was like joking, but kind of being for real. She was like, "Oh, look, it's da-da-da," my sister's name. And I don't know why, when she said it, that really touched my heart. So different. I boohoo cried. And it was like years later. But the thing about it is that whenever like my sister was brought up and stuff, I never had that emotion or whatever, but that particular moment right then and there when she said that, I'm gonna say her fake name. Oh, that's Sarah. When I heard that I boohooed and cried, and that made my sister cry. I don't know, that it hit me different that particular time. So I guess for now, I guess I think I got fully through it, honestly, because now I can actually talk about it and stuff. So yeah,
that's amazing. I want to piggyback off of what Reckless just said. A very important part of grieving is actually grieving, allowing yourself to grieve, giving your heart permission to be broken. Giving yourself permission to be broken, not running away from the pain, not trying to escape the pain, but to actually face off and enter into that pain. Because there's something that kind of recalibrates when we allow ourselves to empty out our grief. You got to empty out the cup for something new to be put in it. So for one, I allowed myself to grieve. I didn't force myself to really feel any better than I did. And I also trusted myself. I trusted that I would feel better. I knew I just had to give myself permission to actually grieve. I had to give myself permission to do that. Now, I know I cut a goddamn fool on here. I talk a lot of shit. I roast, I gag, I do all of that. I cover hot topics, but I live my life based upon very strong spiritual ideas and principles. Like those things are not just
for sure
nice things that I say to myself. These are things that I really believe in and really have my faith in. And something that I do, or something that happened at my mom's funeral was I was asked to speak, of course, as her oldest child. And I remember saying something at my mom's funeral when I grabbed the mic, which was her death was humbling, because I realized that before she belonged to me, she belonged to God. And who was I to keep her from her creator? She was his before she was ever mine. And acknowledging that really allowed me to put myself in my rightful place, which was to realize that to have her was a gift. I was gifted with her as a mother. And but she wasn't my property. She wasn't my intellectual property. She belonged to God just as I belong to God. And God was ready. God was ready for it, whether the rest of us were or not. And so, and then, I mean, I'm an astral projector, so I know the reality of our consciousness living beyond the body, living beyond this 3D dimension, because I astral travel myself. And so I knew that she was living on. I knew that she had not been obliterated, and I was able to avoid having a nihilistic view of death. So between like all of those things, giving myself permission to grieve, humbling myself because my mother first and foremost belonged to God and not to me. She belonged to God before she belonged to my grandmother, her mother, before she was anybody's sister, before she was anybody's auntie, before she was anybody's mother, before she was anybody's wife. She was God's. And between me also just knowing the reality. So I was able to let her go in just time. And every now and again, my mom pays me a visit, and I will smell her perfume. I'll just be laying around doing nothing, and I'll just get a little whiff. And so I know that because I come from her, she's also in me. Physiologically, literally, she's in me. She's her and I are connected psychically through cellular memory.
Your ancestor.
And she's a guardian, and for all I know too, my mom, she might have already reincarnated. She, I don't know how soon she would have re-entered the earth plane. I mean, she could be some 13-year-old girl named Betty right now, living in France. She could be a male, hell, in her incarnation. So I don't know how much work, how much soul work, how much of her contract she fulfilled in this incarnation. But she either still is one with God, or she has re-entered this earth plane again. And what's ironic too is that my younger brother just had his first child. Her name is Honesty, and she looks just like my mother. So, who knows? No, I don't have all this stuff with the dead. I don't. I personally don't reverence the dead per se. So no. She is not on my altar. But I do have like, of course, like, pictures of her and everything are up in my home and everything. But I don't have an altar per se for her. No. You was gonna say something.
Oh, because how they have this whole thing of one life ends, another one comes in. I believe that's when my sister had her second child. When my sister had passed, when she had passed, that not too long after, if I'm correct, because my memory from back then, not too long after that, that's when my sister had her baby, which was her niece. So,
yeah.
I think also too having a spiritual belief as well is a way to help cope as well, which is why people which is one of the benefits of religion, which or spirituality and stuff, because it gives you something. It gives you that understanding, or for some people that hope that they're okay. it's a way to be able to help you cope. They're in a better place and stuff. So I think that was another thing as well too, because girl, you had the moments.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Gazelle, I have a very complex cosmology regarding the earth plane and the spiritual realms and the way that reincarnation and incarnation kind of works. So one of my spiritual perceptions that's kind of backed up by some personal research is I believe that our higher selves are always in the higher plane, which is why even in this body we have to like meditate and raise our vibration to connect to our higher selves. When we think about so-called heaven, or think about our loved ones being in heaven, we're talking about like the version of them that is still whole, that is still complete, that is still intact, and that part is that aspect of them is I don't want to say stored, but is held in those higher dimensions. Just like God, I believe, is in two places at once. God is collectively in the non-physical, but also has incarnated individually as all of us in this dimension. So God is having a dualistic experience. God is having the experience of humanness and confusion and curiosity and philosophy and 3D reality through the existence of every single human being that's being born into this plane of existence, while also still being the collective consciousness outside of that. So when I think about like the people that have passed on in my life, like my grandmother, who was like a second mother to me, my mother, I don't look at their spirit basically is what's in the higher realms. Their soul is what's incarnating. So let's say if you were to have an experience, a Gazelle, like let's say you were for whatever reason to leave your body and you were to go into a space, a spiritual space, and see your mom, you would be seeing and witnessing and interacting and feeling the love and the brilliance and the glory of, I guess in biblical terms, her transfigured self, her spirit. Her soul is what is incarnating over and over and over and over again. We have souls for the sake of seeking thrill through being a created thing. Being a created thing. And when we lose ourselves, oftentimes we also find ourselves again. We find our love again. That's us realigning back to our higher self, the part of us that was never affected by trauma. Like the reason why you can go from sadness to happiness, from sadness to happiness, from being down to being back up again, is because all you're doing is going from your soul experience to your spirit experience. Your spirit isn't experiencing any of this. Your spirit is not experiencing any fear. It's not experiencing any sickness. It's not experiencing any trauma, any heartbreak, but your soul is experiencing that. But your spirit is far removed from that. It's far removed from all of this. And I believe that that's what people are experiencing who kind of like see their loved ones on the other side. Is they are interacting with the spirit, the intact, complete, whole, and glorious aspect and essence of that individual. So I look at the spirit as kind of separate from the soul and the body, and they can kind of be out of whack all at once. You know, the Trinity can be dysfunctional or disconnected. Your spirit perceives a thing one way, while your soul is having an experience that's contrary to the higher self, and your body may be afflicted in ways that your spirit is not.
She got it.
You could have talked, nigga, help the show down while I'm gagging.
Not you gagging. Yeah. Okay, so what's the difference between the soul and the spirit? Because okay, so the soul deals with like your core, I would say, as in like your emotions and stuff, right? And would you say that your spirit has to do with your ego, or that's something completely separate, or I could completely mix all of that up? Like, well, he probably still choking on that gagging, girl.
Fucking hate being sick, y'all. But see, I was up to do this because there are people who needed this live tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Before I answer your question, I want to answer Giselle. So what's funny is that a lot of people who see their loved ones on the other side, they see them as vital and youthful. They don't see them in their decrepit, old, angry ego self. They see them young and youthful, bright, alive and well, and at their most vital state. And that's the part of us that's the spirit. So to your question, Reckless, the difference between the spirit and the soul is your spirit is a part of you that's actually God. That's the part of you that's actually awake. That's a part of you that's divine. The part of you that's eternal. The part of you that's lucid. That's the part of you that is the I am that I am. And your soul is the temporary identity that you occupy when you incarnate as a black male in the United States who's same gender loving, or
so
white American. It's your earthly identity, and it's only relevant to the time space continuum that you exist in. It doesn't have any real substance beyond that.
I think we had this conversation before. I think we had.
We did.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, when you read the scriptures, it says that God breathed His breath into the nostrils of the clay toy known as Adam's form. God became Adam, essentially, made Adam a living soul. God became Adam. God entered into history, into this dimensional plane.
Became a living soul.
And this is why all of the ways of and this is why figures like Yeshua are so interesting, because God did the human thing and did it well, which is a demonstration to all of us having the capacity to live virtuous, whole, abundant lives. That's what makes God not a hypocrite, because God is having the earthly experience. God is in the flesh with us. God is not somewhere removed in total. God is dwelling simultaneously along with the soul that is experiencing this earth plane, but making decisions instead that honor the soul rather than that honor the flesh or the ego, the super ego, if you would have. So God is you. God is me. God is Carla. God is Miss T. Taylor. God is a Miss Green. God is Gazelle.
Come on, Karen. I need that one. Because this is actually a conversation we had before. Do you think it's wrong to contact loved ones through a Ouija board? Through the Ouija board?
I don't fuck with Ouija. I think it's not safe to contact any goddamn thing through the Ouija board. How can I explain the Ouija board? I mean,
it's a divination tool that's okay. The way that Conscious explained it to me, explain all things divination wise to me, is that you always want to make sure that your energy is pure and your energy is clean. Because what is the law of attraction? What you think, what you attract that's what you're going to attract. And also too, when it comes out to the Ouija board, if you don't know what you're doing, which is 9 times out of 10 a lot of people, you're opening a lot of portals that you, for one, you don't know how to close, and two, you don't know who you're really talking to, because that's also a portal that people can be like, when you like call somebody and you be like, oh, hello, is this Shirley? And you find it's really Amber, but however, Amber playing on your phone. So you kind of think of it like that. Oh yes, I'm Shirley, but really it's Amber. Yes, no, maybe so. Because be honest, I never had desire to do a Ouija board. Not never. I learned from the white hoes.
I'm sorry, I had used the bathroom, so I kind of missed the last minute of what you said.
Oh, I was explaining about a Ouija board. Basically, I was getting from a Ouija board is that 9 times out of 10, like the law of attraction, which is why what you was telling me about making sure your energy is clean with any type of divination tool, because whatever your energy gives, that's what you're going to attract. But however, with the Ouija board, 9 times out of 10 people don't know what they're doing. And the second thing I said, and they don't know how to close the portals as well, and also you don't know who you're talking to at times, but most times.
So the best way I can describe the Ouija board is, well, first of all, we don't really know where it comes from. Mm-hmm. There's not an exact point of creation that we can attest to when it comes to the Ouija board. Since the Ouija board has historically been a divination tool that is largely more associated with bad than good, my personal belief is that wherever the inspiration came from regarding the Ouija board, it was demonic, which is why more negative manifestations occur. More deceptive, demonic, troubling manifestations occur when it comes to the Ouija board. I believe that whoever invented this, because there is a such thing as angelic and heavenly inspiration and demonic inspiration. And I fully believe that the Ouija board was conjured up out of the psychology and the creativity of the demonic realm. Now, to your point, we know that the law of attraction yields to our energy, and that our energy is important when it comes to spirituality, because we create and we attract to us what we are. The issue about being a human being, about being a person, is that we're not just one. We aren't just one person. We have a shadow self and we have a divine self. And so oftentimes, so you have two issues then when it comes to the Ouija board. If the Ouija board is inspired, is a demonic inspiration, is a demonic device, it's already naturally oriented toward the lower realms. And then, to add insult to injury, most people are not whole and complete. So you also have the issue of, I got a cough again, hold on. You also have the issue of the Ouija board drawing from the shadow self that is active in you. So you're going to get more negative results than not. Using the Ouija board is equivalent to like being a really good driver, being an expert driver, but trying to drive a really shitty, ill manufactured vehicle, which means that it wouldn't matter how fucking great of a driver you are or how high your vibrational state is. There's something fundamentally dark about the essence and energy of the Ouija board. So more times than not, the only mystics that can probably use the Ouija board effectively are probably like master mystics, people who have dissolved and really balanced their light bodies and their shadow selves, which is, again, something that most human beings are not doing. Most human beings are just all over the place energetically, all over the place, a hot mess. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah, my fellas when he eating, I ain't wanted to be on the camera and shit, sound wise. But like Karen said, what she said, I forgot. Wait, let me go back up. That is true. I haven't. No, right before that. That is true. I have in the past and talked to with my granny, and then a little boy started to get on and deceive me, and it was also hard to get rid of that boy. It kept coming back in different ways.
So something that may be happening with the Ouija board is that it's oriented toward the purgatory realm. So you get a lot of trapped spirits. Spirits that haven't quite ascended but haven't quite descended either. So you get a lot of what you would call hauntings, demonic manifestations, possessions, a lot of so-called trapped souls who are in the middle, who are trapped in the space between heaven and hell, so-called. And so I just would not recommend the Ouija board as a technology to use for higher communication. I honestly wouldn't really recommend any technology. I would recommend you literally just raising your vibration and communing with spirit through traditional worship and meditation without an intermediary, because we don't even need a intermediary. We don't necessarily need one. And the thing about it is too, is that like when you use a divination system, oftentimes you're gonna experience whatever like when you meditate, it allows you to intentionally make contact with what you're trying to make contact with, versus when you use a spiritual technology to make contact with. If there was any divination system I would use, like I scry. So to your point, the crystal ball is an object you can scry through. A burning flame is an object you can scry through. A black marble surface can be a scrying surface. A bowl of water you can scry in clouds. And because for me, I'm gonna be honest, I don't fuck with entities. Like I do angelic work, and I will utilize angels depending on what the work is. But for the most part, I'm not one of those people who is into making contact with other forms of consciousness outside of the angelic realm and the Holy Spirit. So, and there's nothing wrong with making contact with other spirits, like ancestral spirits. I know a lot of witches have elementals. I have worked with elemental spirits as well. Elemental spirits are really useful when it comes to carrying out certain tasks. They're really good with, hold on. They are really good for like protection and guardianship. especially of your home and your children, your property, etc. They're also earth-based spirits, so they can be really unique in helping to how can I say it? They can be a really good for like healing and also restoring and helping to grow things that come organic to the earth, like your crops, your fields, your food, etc. Elemental spirits can be very they can be very you gotta know what you're doing with them motherfuckers too, honey, because that shit could turn
I'm about to say
real quick.
I had this one lady on TikTok. I was in my mood, baby. I had this one lady on TikTok. She was talking about how she was the elemental spirit as in fairies. She was like, "Oh, girl, no, I don't do no fairies." Like, she had a real bad experience. I was like, "Girl."
But if you don't know what the fuck you doing, because the elemental realm is their community is largely based on like individuality, just like the human race is, and just like we don't have a collective personality type. Like you never know what you're getting from human to human. You don't know what you're getting from elemental to elemental, which is why you need to be well versed in spells and magic, because they oftentimes act as a control mechanism over that spirit, over the elemental being, to kind of keep reins on that entity. But if you don't know what you're doing, elemental can definitely wreak havoc in your life, in your home, and it could look like things close to demonic activity. But I don't want to make this video largely about that, because people are gonna be like, "What the fuck happened toward the last 45 minutes of this commentary, baby?" Like, what the fuck are we talking about now? What the hell? It's 333 too. It's probably 222 somewhere else, 111 somewhere else, 555 somewhere else, but it's 333 here. A good night, Rainy. But back to issue. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about death. Miss Adams says that nervous system movement, he was already gone. The heart didn't stop until he got to the hospital. We can't pronounce him dead until the heart stops. So that's what they were seeing. Right, like the body was still pumping, you know. But I send light and love to this family, and I hope that they get some form of justice and accountability. And I hope that they get I hope that everyone in this situation gets the healing that they need, because I can just only imagine how traumatic this was for everybody involved. Yeah. So maybe Icon Park will step their age requirement up. I think that's something. Somebody was saying earlier that the family wants pretty much the park a demolition. How do you feel about the eradication?
They want the park shut down.
Yeah.
I can't tell them I'm not mad.
I don't think that's per se the answer, since this is something that could have been, since this is something that could have been avoided, just through, like just through actually doing their job effectively.
Like I was saying, like I don't think that's like I can't say that I don't understand why, but I just kind of didn't want to be the one to say it. I don't think they should do that, but
it probably isn't going to happen anyway. I mean, like amusement parks accidents happen from time to time. Yeah, they will sometimes shut down the actual ride, but just kind of shutting down an amusement park altogether. Yeah, not
and plus, keep in mind too, this is Florida. You messing with Orlando's money. Trust me, that's gonna be one hard fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard fight. Yeah, they're gonna get paid. This is definitely going to be millions and millions of dollars worth of restitution to this family because this accident purely happened on the lack of discernment from the workers. So hopefully they step up their age requirement in the park for, I hope that they make that national, that nobody under 21 without experience can work those panels. They can do any other job, but at least 21 well-trained with experience on the job, and use this situation as a catalyst to also talk about discerning the nature of each rider as it relates to this thing. And you guys who are just coming in, my theory, once I analyzed the video once again, was that upon further review, you can actually once again see that his bracket didn't even close all the way down over him. There was a lot of access space between his shoulders and the shoulder bar of the bracket, while you can see everybody else's shoulders were locked into place, while there's all the space here between him and his shoulder. And then there's all this access space, like all up in here, as it relates to the rest of his body. So what I actually saw in the video was him slip from under the bracket upon the descent and the immediate stop of the ride, and it actually pushed him out of the space between the seat and the bracket. And this here, all this space here, is enough room for his upper torso to definitely be pushed from under and out. Under and out. He came from under and out the bracket. So this is why the bracket, in my opinion, with my personal observation, was still locked upon his ejection from the ride. I didn't even see that the first time around because I had once again I was having an emotional reaction. So but I actually did see what looked like him being kind of like slammed back down in the seat and pushed from the velocity out of this opening. So that's why he kind of shoots out. Sad. I said that the other day, CTV, that the harness was not locked. So the thing about it is, the panels, we had read some articles regarding the investigation. The harness was actually locked. It was so locked that it was still in place when the ride came down, and all of the panel lights were green, which indicated that a mechanism for reading whether there is a faulty issue or if everything is good to go. All of the lights were green accordingly. He was just too big for this ride. Like, this is his shoulders are here, but it seemed like his torso allowed this thing to kind of also protrude off of him to an extent. So he was literally just too big. His upper body was the problem here. You can see that his lower body actually fit within the contours of the seat like everybody else's, but his upper body was more bulky. It was wider, and it allowed his bracket to only lock where it did, which gave him a lot of fucking room and opportunity, a lot of space. I mean, it's sad. And when I I kept slowing the video down, slowing the video down, slowing the video down. You can actually see him kind of like it looked like he goes like under and out all of this opening. So this is why this thing was still locked down when it came down. Laying on his stomach. Yeah, people are saying that he actually hit the fence upon you can hear the thud. I don't know whether that was just a pure concrete or whether it was the fence as well. I mean, just terrible. The system. So the investigation is saying that there is no malfunction. So it looks like the negligence just really comes down to the workers, because he was also already 50 pounds overweight. The maximum weight capacity for the ride was 286 pounds. He weighed 320. So he was already too large for the ride. But because in the manual it's ambiguous, because while it does list a maximum weight capacity, further down it also says, well, if the person can sit within the bracket, of the seat, then pretty much, you know, they could be larger than 286 pounds. You know, so, but the problem was his lower body wasn't the problem. Obviously, his lower body could fit within the contours. It was everything from the waist up that was the problem, which allowed his harness to protrude off of him, unlike the rest of his peers, where you can see that they are tightly snugged and locked in to their harness. There's no space and give between their shoulders and the shoulder bracket or anything, unlike it is for him here. You can see all the space between the bracket and his shoulder. So this is why when upon him coming, the rod coming down, he was lifting up, hitting the shoulder bracket, but as soon as it stopped, it came to an immediate halt. It wasn't a gradual halt. It stops you like bloop. That shoved him down through all the space here. Shoved him out and over. Out and over. He literally was shoved by the G-force out and down. Out and down. So and the seats tilt forward at that. So he literally had no fighting chance. He had no fighting chance. He had no fighting chance. Had no fighting chance. And based upon his arm position, like that infamous shot that y'all see of him actually out of the seat in midair, it looked like he was holding on to the armrest on the actual chair rather than the armrest here. I'm gonna be honest. I probably would have took once we started to go up, honestly, and I started to feel like this shit was a give. I would have took the sleeve. I would have took both. I would have took at least my sleeve. I don't know what I would have did. I would have tried to tie my fucking sleeve around in a knot or something. Like I would have did something. I would have did something because I mean he pretty much just accepted his fate. You know, he told his friends to tell his parents, you know, that you know, that he loved them. He didn't feel he was going to make it out of this alive. And I just want to know, like, what went through the friend's head? I guess, like, the friends probably thought, hey, you know, my friend just scared and tripping. You know,
yeah, like like literally when you said that, I got chills again. Like,
yeah.
It's that whole thing of like just knowing that this may possibly be, and like the whole thing, like when you're not in that situation, you just be like, boy, stop, boy, you'll be fine, or whatever. Like it, and now I'm just thinking about the friend that before he probably was like, you know, boy, just stop talking, we good, you just scared, and then just to know after that, now looking back, you like, oh, like that's,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad I didn't watch the video because then that really would have messed me up. Because I'm like me not watching the video, I'm just hearing about this, giving me chills. But
yeah. Oh, so you finally saw it?
No, I ain't see it. I still.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you had watched it.
And plus, I was trying to look for it earlier, but then I'm like, I can't find it. It's a good reason why.
I'll send
no, don't send the link.
No, I don't
want to see it.
Yeah,
that's really gonna mess me up because I'm already getting chills and stuff here.
Yeah. Well, apparently the seats don't necessarily. Because, you know, I've been on these type of rides at the fair. They just kind of like lock. As you push them down, they just tighten up. So there's nothing like, there's no space here. It just like, you just push it down as far down on your body as you possibly can. The problem was, I don't know how the fuck the workers, they saw all of this. They saw all of this. How did this make sense? I mean, we are talking about 16-year-olds. They just didn't think this through. They just said, oh, he locked in. It's not moving anywhere. They forgot to calculate all this fucking space when there would be descent and a abrupt stop that would push his ass up and out all of this opening. All this is a gap. Look at how much space this is, you guys. Look at how much space this is. Could you imagine being slammed down in your seat? Of course, you're going to be. The seat is already tilting. You are falling at 75 miles per hour. You come to an immediate stop. So, of course, you're going to be shoved out. It's fucked up. Hey, Ray.
Hey, babe. Hey, Reckless.
What's going on, babe?
I'm good. I just got back from Florence, Italy, so I'm kind of exhausted. We walked and walked
Come
and
on,
walked.
traveling cooter cat.
Yes, baby.
I know that.
No,
You better be making love to your man over in Italy, honey.
well, listen, it was delicious. Everything was
Ooh,
wonderful. The
I'm
food, the
jealous.
man, everything.
Yes, God. You better live your best life, honey.
It's only 6 hours away, so why not?
Oh,
So
wow. Mm-hmm. It's
by
amazing.
train, by train,
Oh, y'all went
less
by
than half.
train.
Yes, it's
That
awesome. We
is so
stopped over.
romantic, Ray.
Yes, we had one night in Como, and
Mm-hmm.
then from Como we went to Florence, and Florence was awesome. And I was standing up under the statue of David's balls yesterday. He's huge. It was crazy how big the statue of David is, and it
Mm-hmm.
was really amazing because I brought all that up to say this, not to brag.
Mm-hmm.
It was very spiritual. This whole
Yes.
city of Florence, Italy, because of the way that the Medicis financed the Renaissance movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very spiritual city. I usually hate Italy because Italians can be assholes, but these people were so nice and so chill, and like everywhere you went there was a church, there was something that was spiritual. I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
just the whole city was wrapped in this spiritual vibe. I can't explain it. It
Wow.
was just
Mm-hmm.
so welcoming. And
Mm-hmm.
I've lost a child, and so this whole
Mm-hmm.
story with this young man, stuff like that triggers me. So I appreciate you for giving us a redacted version of it, because there's no way I'm going to watch it. I'm not even going to read about it. It's just I understand. I probably not as much as that mom, because I lost my kid when he was an infant, but just I mean, you guys know, you and Reckless understand, like the loss of someone who's been impactful in your life or that was close to you. It's just something that you learn to live with. You never
Yeah.
get over it. You just learn to live with it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something about, I mean, I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
his parents will ever hear this or
Mm-hmm.
anything, but when I was assisting my aunt to cross over, because in Oregon, it's legal,
Mm-hmm.
compassionate care.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like what you said about before your body almost hits the ground, hits the bed, whatever, you're it's like they come and get you. Whoever's coming to get you is coming to get you. You don't even feel that impact. You
Mm-hmm.
don't, you're already somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I noticed that with my aunt, who was paralyzed, sat up in bed, was talking. We couldn't hear what she said. Only thing we heard and felt was this light. The room was dark, and we felt this light. We thought we saw a light, but I don't know if we felt it or saw the
Mm-hmm.
light. And there was this electricity, and I'm a singer, and I can't even imitate the sound of this electric sound. Something was in the room with us, and
Mm-hmm.
she sat up, and she had really super clear blue eyes, and it
Mm-hmm.
looked like light was shooting from her eyes, and she was reaching out. Now mind you, she was paralyzed, reaching out and talking to someone, but we couldn't hear the words. She
Mm-hmm.
smiled, and by the time she fell back to the bed, she was gone.
God. Wow.
It was like someone, and she was reaching out, but she could not move
Mm-hmm.
because I had to, change, her
Yeah.
and all of that. So she was
Yeah.
completely paralyzed. She could not move. And
Mm-hmm.
it was beautiful, because and I don't know if that light in the room was her and God, the spirits combined, but it was crazy. And so the nurse that was there with us, she was an atheist. This lady ran out the room screaming, literally screaming, refused to go back in the room. I had to get her
Mm-hmm.
purse. I had to light a cigarette for her outside because she was shaking so bad. She said, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Oh my God, what was that? So we knew we weren't crazy. Me and my
Yeah.
cousins, we knew that something. So just so that these parents know, he didn't feel the impact.
Yeah.
He was protected already.
Yes. And also,
And
mm-hmm.
oh, go ahead, babe.
No, I was going to say, and also people have to remember that, like, when the death, when the body is prepping basically for death, and all of that adrenaline and everything is rising, your body releases endorphins that begin to soothe you,
Exactly.
that begin to soothe you and kind of remove you physiologically from what's going on. I have a cold. From what's going on. So yeah, he was probably in shock and probably already numb and probably already had entered into, because he probably already had went unconscious as well on his way down, because of the shock would have made him unconscious. I highly doubt that he was completely lucid upon impact, because he didn't make a sound.
Exactly.
He wasn't screaming. He just kind of came from up and over in this like seated position and just fell, and a lot of people didn't even know something had happened until they looked, until everybody came down. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think, like you're saying, that he was already gone.
Yeah.
Because if you see yourself getting ready, like, we all have had that dream where we're falling from a building and we never hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we always wake up before. And I think that is almost like a premonition showing us that you're not going to see yourself hit the ground. Like something else is going to take you away before you realize you've hit the ground.
Oh, that's a good point. That even in our nightmares, we kind of abort mission before impact, and that's probably indicative of what happens physically in those events too.
Exactly.
And
for the Ouija, and just for the Ouija board, folks, leave that stuff alone, because my aunt, I have on my mama's side, my aunt was a witch, and on my daddy's side, I got all the Creole voodoo people, and they all agree you don't mess with the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Ouija boards are like you, and it's so crazy that you said this, because I've never heard anyone else explain it like this. It is literally like almost a holding room for lost souls. And they because other mediums won't fool with them. They that's their portal. It's like a portal for them to get out. So leave
that's why I believe
Ouija boards alone.
And I believe that while other mediums won't fool with the spirits that will come through on the Ouija board, is because the Ouija board had to, by design, be kind of
demonic
postured, for that particular vibratory dimension itself. So it was kind of like built as a custom doorway for that realm. So I
don't like to be up here.
I hear nothing but
I don't like to be up here long.
Oh yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming up. Did you ever get in contact with a knockout?
You know what? We're good, and God bless you, and thank you for being a mediator. Let me just say this to anybody, because I just want to make sure that this is very clear. I stepped away from everything with that because I knew that time would heal, and I didn't want to make. You and I had our conversations behind scenes and others, and I did not want to humiliate him. I love him as if he is like a nephew to me. And I'm always here for his success. And like I said, I never stopped supporting him. I never unsubscribed, because we all go through things, and you can't hold a single incident against someone. You always have to give someone grace, just like someone gives me grace every day. And we always have, and this is why I tell people we are not a sector, we are a kingdom. We love each other. We air our own dirty laundry out in public. And then we show you how we fix it and bring it back together. And so I want to thank you for being a mediator and for showing love to everyone and not judging anyone, because we all were in our feelings. I was in my feelings. Everybody was in their feelings. And everyone has a right to their feelings. But it's how do we come back together after we've been in that space?
I was very proud of you, and awesome. Very proud of y'all for being able to to come back to the middle ground.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you for. This is why we're so protective of this space,
for sure,
because we go through. We talk about hard topics. We go very, very personal. It's very personal here, and it's a safe space. Those of us who've been in the kingdom, we feel safe because we know that although we are going to say some things that may be shocking to other people outside of us, for us, it's just a family discussion.
Yeah.
And we are very mature and adult here. And this is why I think a lot of us get upset when other people come in and act a fool, because we're like, no, that's not what we do here. So God bless you. And I love Reckless, and I thank you for introducing me to Reckless, because I love him. He is awesome.
Thank
he
you.
is YouTube best, as Larry used to say about me. I'm saying about Reckless. He is social media's best kept secret. So I am happy to be introducing you guys to this wonderful content creator. He's amazing. He's full of life. He's intelligent. He's young. He's on fire. And he's going to be carrying the torch for me when I'm long gone in heaven.
And when both of y'all bring your asses over here to Europe, we are going to Florence.
Yes.
Florence is everything.
When you say Europe, wait. When you say Europe, I can barely go outside.
Oh, bitch. Well, you have to come over to Europe. It's awesome.
Yes.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna say good morning, good night, because I don't like to be up here long. So I'm dropping down.
But
love you guys.
So much love. I love you too.
Bye.
But okay, but it was okay. I'm gonna make this my last thing because we ain't trying to have this video in like 9 hours.
Right.
Because what also came to my mind is when how when you guys was talking about how the soul leaves the body, and you also talked about how certain hormones are released. It actually reminds me of the time where the infamous videos where you see people on the slingshot and where they freak out so much to the point that they pass out.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. I don't know, like that just shot at my head all of a sudden.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do remember a time where I did have like a dream where I was falling and stuff. Girl, that was crazy.
They say that the fallen dreams are indicative of astral projection experiences, and it's your brain's way of interpreting coming back to the body is through descension.
Oh my God, no, that one right there, no.
And that's why it kind of like jolts you and wakes you up.
Oh no.
Because like, sometimes I will enter the astral plane through a dream first, and that dream might involve me like taking off on a plane or a helicopter or flying or something of that sort. The brain is very interested in how it interprets the metaphysical realm, because the brain is the intermediary space between the physical dimension and the non-physical dimension, and its burden is making sense of the non-physical because it's a linear object. So it's a linear mechanism. So it's
okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm okay. I don't want this video to be long, but okay, I'm gonna explain my dream to you, and I'm gonna explain the experience. You let me know if this is something normal for like the non-physical coming back to reality and all the other stuff. Okay.
Hold on. And before you do that, somebody had asked me, what is my spiritual background? I was raised Christian Baptist. I identify at this point in my life as a Christian mystic. And by Christian, with Christian mysticism, within that, I have other spiritual intersections like Buddhism, paganism. There's a lot of kind of overlapping belief systems that go in alignment with my personal relationship to Christ. So I think Christian mysticism a Christian mystic is the best way to describe it. Another word for it is fucking witch. Go ahead, Reckless.
Yeah, I do not like using that word because bitch,
I love it. I love it. It's still so controversial. It's such a controversial word, and it makes people go like, "What?" And then it leads to like a conversation around a spiritual intersectionality.
Girl, whenever I say that, I get a stank ass look.
Of course,
I'm like, I'm a wizard. You're like, wizard, bitch.
That is even worse.
Bitch, what? Okay, So yes, okay. So what happened was I was asleep, and then I just remember at first it felt like I was like on a roller coaster, but it was weird. Like my fat ass at the time, bitch. It was like weird because it was like a roller coaster, but it was made out of food, bitch. It was like some ramen noodles, some shit. It was weird as fuck. It was weird, but I was like going, but then it was like a roller coaster / like a slide. It was weird. Like I got the feeling of a roller coaster, but I can see myself, my body laying down. It felt like a slide, like I was going to the slide down on like a water park slide. And I was going. I was going all over, and then I remember I went up really high, and then because I had went to Rapids not too long ago. Starting to make sense a little bit. I had went to Rapids not too long ago, and I remember we was going like this big giant, the infamous water slide thing, that blue and yellow one. But at some point, it has like this big giant bowl, and for the black, I think it's two different ones. I believe I forgot. I haven't been there forever. It's like a shadow one, like when you get inside the little dome thing, it gets really dark. So that's what it felt like. So I was going like the little slide thing, I remember, and then all of a sudden I went into like the little dome. And I remember for some reason, now this part, even though it was dark, I just remember seeing like my body like enclosed inside of like a black bubble. It was like a black bubble. And that bad boy just started falling. It just started going. Let's start going down. And right before I hit, I had woke up. Now this is how I know that this was really like something really, really a new level for me, because I woke up like one of the white bitches. You know how to wake up from the dream. That's how I'm telling you. That's literally how I woke up. I woke up like literally gasping for air.
I'm tell you this. That is so funny to me, because that's only happened to me one time in life, and I was in the deepest, most comatose sleep I ever been in my damn life. It must have been, because when I became lucid, I literally like rose out of my bed with like, like as if the air was like going.
Not you was gasping.
I felt like, girl, I might have been crossing over doing that damn good ass sleep, baby.
They'll start to bring you back, bitch. Like, I'm back, bitch. It's not your time.
It felt like my spirit was oozing back into my body. Like, I'd never experienced something like that in my life. I'm like, like a zombie coming back to damn life. Like,
bitch, more like a mummy.
Like, yeah, I was like, bitch, what? I was gone too, bitch. Like, I ain't remember nothing the day before. Like, that's what took me the fuck out of here. Bitch, I was fucking gone.
Now, this is how I know it was like really, really like traumatizing, because even years later, I still remember this dream for the most part. Like, little details I probably forgot, but this was like real scary, because this is the first time. This is the first and only time I ever experienced it to my knowledge that I can think of. Yeah. But I just remember the ball just start falling, and for some reason,
we should have just did a whole separate live. Like, soon as we realized we was going down Alice in Wonderland spiritual hole, is the moment we should have like click end. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like I remember the perfect example right here. So I remember it was like a black, it was like a kind of like a glass ball or whatever I was in, and it just started falling. When it started falling, I just knew that when it hit the ground, it was gonna shatter. That was gonna be done for a bit. Yeah. But then I had just woke up, so I woke up before then. When I gasped, like I literally gasping for air and stuff. Like, and I don't know, I got this sense of, I felt like my breath was starting to slow, like I couldn't breathe.
It does.
It does. Okay, because I was like, I couldn't breathe. Like, I was literally gasping for air. And I remember that I literally had to walk outside, because for some reason I had in my head, if I don't get up and walk outside and try to get air, I'm going to die. I don't know why I kept getting that thought in my head, but I was following my intuition. Get your ass up, walk outside, get some air.
Deep breath.
Deep breaths. So I was like, that was a scary example. So
that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you were having a OBE, but you were like out of body experience. It's the acronym for OBE. Yeah, you was having an OBE, but you weren't completely lucid. You was like kind of in the dream state, but your spirit was actually descending back through the aura into crown chakra, because I know oftentimes when I project, I come out through my crown chakra. Like there's a vibration that feels like a crown around the top of my head, and I will start to rev up, and I'll hear all of that buzzing, all of that
girl.
and I'll feel that vacuuming feeling, like I'm getting suctioned up, or I'll feel like I'm falling, like I can feel like gravity removing itself. It's very intense. So, but when your brain is kind of like trapped in between, like you haven't fully became lucid, and you're like kind of in a dream state, a lot of times people have your type of experiences. But it sounds like you were definitely on your travels and you were returning, and your brain was like trying to make it make sense, but was struggling to, and then all these other sensations were coupled with that, because OBE is not, astral projection is not a dream. It's literally a extension. It's literally a experience of consciousness, and you are fine tuning the goddamn dial on the radio.
Ooh, bitch.
So
you know what's funny is I'm laughing because okay, I'm gonna say the serious thing, and then I'm gonna get to the limb where I'm laughing. All right, so the serious thing is that when when I woke up and stuff, I think that was like right before I forgot if I even knew you at the time or not, but that's when the time I was like leaving religion alone. For me personally, I was leaving religion. I wasn't really digging it like that and stuff. So I think that's part of the reason why I was still like stuck in wasn't lucid maybe. But however, reason why I'm laughing because bitch, when I woke up, bitch, I thought it was the rapture, bitch. I thought it was my time to get the fuck up out of here, bitch. I was scared. I was the Lord Heavenly Father. I come to you as humble as I know how, Lord. I thought I was out, baby. Who had to pay for all my sins?
It motherfucking happens. People be talking all that shit, acting like they above a god and religion. As soon as you think your motherfucking ass is dying, baby, all that religious conditioning comes right on back in, baby. Hallelujah, man. I want to read this before we wrap out, because Oz asked what to make of dreams that you die in. So let's read this article. It says a dream expert explains why you're dreaming about death. When it comes to dreams, there's almost nothing more unsettling than dreaming about death, whether it be your own or that of a loved one. While death-related dreams might seem like a bad omen, there's no need to feel too anxious about them. In fact, they could portend a positive transition or change in life. Quote, death in dreams is really about some kind of change or ending you're dealing with in your life, says Lori Quinn Lowenberg, professional dream analyst. The subconscious will show us this change in the form of a death so we can better understand the finality of it. We can let go of that which we no longer need so we can grow and embrace that which is coming. Below, Lowenberg analyzes all the reasons why you may be dreaming about death, from dreams about your own death to dreaming about a death due to Carisha-19. Let me see if I can find. If you see your body in a dream, you kind of saw your body a little bit. Let me read this. While most dreams about death have to do with the finality of a life change, the specifics of your dream can give you clues as to how you're processing the change. According to Lowenberg, if you see a dead body in your dream, it could be a sign that you're struggling to let go. It would also be about something that needs to be buried, isn't yet. It's been exposed, something that may have been brought back up.
I literally just said that. I said that's when I was leaving religion, and it was tearing me up on the inside. I literally just said it.
See? But there it is.
But another thing too is that another thing I do want to tap into. I've had situations where I really dream about stuff before it happens, and it'll actually happen. So I got to see how I'm able to tap into that, because if I could tap into that, that'd be awesome. Because I've literally had dreams where I had what dream in particular. I had a dream about a particular dream, like about me or whatever, and I just remember, for some reason, I forgot the long story about the dream, but I remember me having my private part. I told you this dream. I remember seeing my private part, my dude. And
okay,
it was
hold on. Save all that. We'll come back for another dream. I really don't want to.
Okay, got you.
Girl,
I'm gonna get to the good part.
We'll come back and chat about it for sure. I was trying to find if you die violently. So I guess this could fall like within the realm of falling to your death, etc. While dying peacefully indicates a welcome change, Lowenberg explains that dying violently is the opposite. There's a change happening that you're resisting or you're afraid of. So all of you who are having these apocalyptic ass, murderous ass, falling to your damn death ass, final destination as dreams, it's because y'all are some clingers, honey. Y'all are, your life is trying to change. The universe is trying to redirect the stream, and you just refuse to let go of what is. You refuse to change accordingly. You're being resistant. You're being defensive. You refuse to transcend. You are maintaining your ego. You are maintaining your attachment issues. So you need to let go. If you're dreaming about dying, it's because you are resisting change that's necessary. And there's only one thing that's inevitable. And guess what that is? Change. Let me see if I can see one about falling. If you die young. Nope, that's it. Okay. So we can get out of here. This video is already 2 hours, hell. And you know what? That does explain it, Giselle, because you are still dealing with grief around the passing of your mom, etc. And transitioning and letting it go. So I would definitely encourage either some secular counseling or just get under some spiritual counseling to help you to move through that grief, because there's no redemptive value in holding on to the vibration of grief. It's just a life killer, and that's why you're feeling numb. And as I told you before, your mom would want you to go on because she's gone on. She would want you to move forward because she has moved forward. She would want you to live for the both of y'all, to do your soul work, to trust in life again, to understand that you don't need to hold on to her. You just need to hold on to God. You need to hold on to God, because that's what she's holding on to. That's what she is. And she would not want you to use her transition and evolution from flesh to spirit as a means to reduce the quality of your life. She would want you to be in love. She would want you to go on and have a family. She would want you to go and travel. She would want you to go and enjoy your life. It's short, it's temporary. And she would want you to absorb that for all that it is, because you came into this life experience to do more than just be her daughter. God has a purpose for you greater than that. And grief is holding you back from that. So it takes time. Don't beat yourself up, but just give yourself permission to grieve and find you a great support system. And if need be, find you a good spiritual therapist, or just a good qualified secular therapist to help you to really process all of that, so that you can slay here and then go on about your business like we all will too. We all are going to see our loved ones again. We're all going to be collectively back in God again. Let me tell you something that I like. I fully think that to be human is for God to download itself into a person. And I feel like I think that if you can achieve wholeness in one incarnation, or in your incarnation, that you can break the reincarnation cycle. I believe that this is what mystics like Yeshua was teaching, trying to accelerate the evolution of the soul by bypassing all of the ego shit that we don't have to really rendezvous with unless we want to. So he was always encouraging us to turn away from strife, turn away from egotism, turn away from the materiality of living, and to become self-aware as a spiritual being, to become self-aware as an eternal being. And despite some people not doing that, when you don't fulfill that wholeness in one incarnation, I believe that we cycle again over and over and over and over and over until our contract is fulfilled. Now, I believe that whether you're going to incarnate again or not, or whether you just are, or whether you're going to be brought back into the wholeness of God, that there is a temporary time between your death and the afterlife where you are back whole with God. And to me, that's equivalent to being a raindrop. Being a raindrop can metaphorically represent you as a person. Upon death, you enter back into the ocean and become a part of the whole again. Okay, so don't make too much out of life. I myself try not to take death personal. I know that we are eternal. I know that we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience, not an earthly being having a spiritual experience. It's okay that we give up our lives. This isn't our home. This is a simulated experience. And all of the spiritual mystics have come and tried to tell us that and demonstrate that to us through the supernatural, through miracles, through the miraculous, etc. And so we must remember not to identify so strongly with the body. Don't identify so strongly with being human. As Christ would say, it's not good for man to live off bread alone. That we must eat of a heavenly bread, that we must be reminded of our divinity so that we have no fear. And we don't fear destruction of the body and destruction of mortality, that these things are not seen as an end, but more so as a transition from one thing to another. So just keep that in mind. You all stay blessed. Any lasting words, Reckless, before we head out?
No, sir.
Tell the people once again where they can find you at, please.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the land of reckless logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts from me. Now, if you guys want to find me on Instagram, it is strictly reckless. But however, when it comes down to my YouTube, it's reckless logic with 2 C's because I am unique, I am different, I am not the same. And also as well, it is the name that you see right here on the screen. So thank you so very much. This is
Amen. Me and Reckless Logic will be returning to you guys tonight for a nasty piece of Bad Boys review. I'm going to continue to get my rest.
Y'all make sure y'all check mine out.
Yes, over on Reckless Logic YouTube page. He did a nasty piece of review, honey. Check that out. We will be back tonight at 9:30 for that. And we also will be returning Friday to give a live review of Reading Things My Way by our secular bald-headed man of Christ, Larry Reed, honey, because this episode of Reading Things My Way was really explosive. And I think that the conversations we can have around that are very interesting. So I'm gonna push through. I'm not letting sickness, honey, stop me, honey. I can sleep when I'm dead, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just here to push through. And Reckless is also making all of his own personal jewelry, honey. He's giving old nasty Native American dream catcher jewelry necklaces, honey. Come closer to the camera and show the folk. He is mastering. Is it like, it kind of looks like it's giving like a butterfly or a caterpillar or like a.
All right, so the crystal we have here at the bottom, I'm gonna say that for the end. We have now correct. Well, I might need you on here because I might need you to correct me with the pronunciation or enunciation of the words. So this is Ethis. Am I right? Am I close? Am I wrong?
I don't even know.
Okay, so
it sounds good. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, so amethyst is purple. Is good for the like love. It's about self-love and all the different types of other things. We have tiger's eye with purple obsidian. One of them, I can never the pronunciation. I know to spell it, but however, when it comes to saying it, baby, it's butchered. But however, the last one right here, this particular crystal right here, I believe is clear quartz. But however, the thing is that it was a bracelet, but it ended up breaking. And I was like, oh, I love it. What makes this one special is why I really wanted this one to stand out. This one actually has a scorpion on the inside of it. And I'm a Scorpio. So it really stood out to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this or whatever. And I was like, you know what? on the panel, I was like, you know what? It's been something I've been holding off. And plus, I think at the time somebody was up here arguing or whatever. I was like, girl, I ain't got nothing to do with this. So I'm finna multitask. Keep in mind, I was over here co-hosting. So I made this, and then I was like, I want all of them on one chain. And plus, how it's gonna look extra, because you know I'm extra as fuck. And then on top of that, I was like, how am I gonna make it all come together? And I think it came together pretty nice.
I love it, honey. It's giving an old piece of Wakanda, honey. I live. You might be able to start your own jewelry making company, have a little online boutique, honey, and make custom pieces for folks. People love custom and earth-based jewelry. So I encourage you to craft, honey. I'm living. As I told you, I want you to make me some pieces, honey. So continue on with the arts and crafts, literally and figuratively. We're gonna get out of here, you guys. We'll see y'all later today. I love y'all, and good night. Blessings to the Sampson's family. If you just jumping in, we covered the story in the beginning, so just catch the replay, you guys. And we'll talk to y'all later.